Whispers in the Hollow. In the deep heart of Eldermoor Forest, just beyond the village of Thorn Hollow, there lay a place locals whispered of with a mix of dread and curiosity: the cursed Thicket. It was said to be a realm forgotten by time, where the air hung thick with shadows and the trees twisted unnaturally toward a dull gray sky. Creatures that roamed here were rumored to be warped by some ancient malice, and any who wandered too deeply into its embrace rarely returned whole, if they returned at all. 15-year-old Mia always found herself drawn to the eerie tales. Her grandmother had lived in Thorn Hollow her entire life, her stories spilling over like a bubbling cauldron of caution. "Stay clear of the thicket, Mia. Those who go in never come out the same," she would chide, her knitting needles clicking in urgency. But Mia harbored a curiosity that ignited her spirit, like a flame fighting against the dark. The illusion of a normal Saturday evaporated when Mia received a text from her best friend, Leo. An enticing invitation flickered across her screen. "Let's explore the thicket tonight. Meet at the old bridge at dusk. Bring a flashlight." Mia hesitated. The warning of her grandmother echoed in her mind, a heavy weight on her heart, but the thrill of adventure beckoned too strongly to resist. With her heart pounding with equal parts fear and excitement, she agreed. Dusk settled over Thorn Hollow like a veil. The sky bled hues of deep purple and orange as Mia arrived at the old wooden bridge, the familiar creaking of the boards beneath her feet grounding her momentarily. Leo was already there, silhouetted against the fading light, his grin equal parts mischievous and reassuring. "Ready for the adventure of a lifetime?" he teased, ruffling his tousled hair. Fear slipped from Mia's mind, replaced by adrenaline as they made their way toward the edge of the forest. The thicket loomed like an ominous wall, gnarled branches stretched into grotesque shapes. Abandoned by all but the bravest, or most foolish, it pulsated with an uninviting aura that made both of their skins prick with apprehension. Still, hand in hand, they stepped inside, the world of the known falling behind them. At first, the thicket seemed silent, save for the sound of their footsteps crunching on brittle leaves. Shadows pursued them, ever present but intangible, as if eager to intertwine with the light of their flashlights. They walked deeper, silent thrill wrapping them like a shroud. Leo whispered wild stories of the creatures that lurked just beyond the trees. Laughing spirits, the screeching hounds, and the enigmatic shadowfowl that were said to have the voices of children. Without warning, the atmosphere shifted. A chill sank into their bones as a low growl echoed around them, rippling through the air like a warning. Mia felt her pulse quicken, her instincts screaming at her to turn back, but Leo, emboldened by excitement, merely pressed on. As the trees closed in, the flashlight flickered, then went out. Panic surged through Mia as darkness enveloped them. "Leo?" she called, her voice barely piercing the oppressive silence. "Hold on," he said, fumbling to ignite his own flashlight. With the small beam now illuminating the twisted path, they pressed forward. Shadows danced along the trees, morphing into figures that seemed to watch them with unblinking stares. "It's just your imagination," Leo said, but even he sounded less convinced with each shuddering breath. And then they saw it, a creature, perched half-hidden in the branches, limbs twisted and elongated, eyes too large and gleaming like polished stones. It grinned at them, an unnaturally wide, toothy smile, which sent chills down Mia's spine. "Run!" she managed to scream, her voice filled with raw terror. They didn't need to be told twice. The path back warped and twisted as they fled, branches clawing at their clothes, tugs from unseen hands almost pulling them off their feet. They stumbled, the pounding of their hearts drowned only by the growling chorus that filled the air. Just as they thought they'd escaped, Mia stumbled into a clearing, and behind her, Leo's scream cut through the night, abrupt and sharp. She whirled around in a panic, but the shadows had wrapped around him entirely, absorbing his cries into the dark. A rush of despair surged through her, freezing her in place as the creature revealed itself further, its twisted smile stretching impossibly wide. "Mia," it hissed, echoing Leo's voice like the mocking shadows they had heard tales of. Fear urged her to run, but grief held her back as she twisted away from the vision. With her lungs burning, she bolted back into the labyrinth of trees, following the whispers that wove through the air. Find me, Mia ran, her decisions falling away like the leaves around her, propelled by a fierce desire to escape. She didn't know how long she sprinted, but eventually, she crashed out of the thicket and onto the familiar dirt path leading back to Thorn Hollow. She looked back, gasping for breath as dawn's first light broke through the horizon. The thicket stood dark and still, a malevolent presence, but Mia could hear Leo's whispering still, echoing in the crevices of her mind, forever entwined with the shadows of the cursed creature area. In Thorn Hollow, Mia's tales of adventure shifted forever. She warned others instead, her grandmother's voice guiding her still. The cursed thicket was true, filled with horrors so deep they could consume a soul whole. And as long as she lived, dare not anyone venture where whispers and shadows intertwine.